All right, welcome everyone to a new Gnarcast episode. Like I said before, quit counting these. I don't give a shit anymore. We're just having fun. I don't know what season it is. It could be season 20. Who knows? But now we're just having a good time. This one is we were just talking about what the actual title of the episode would be. Albums that deserve to be heard. Maybe not necessarily obscure albums, but albums that we believe, we chose 3 each that we think that people should hear. Obviously, I think there's an element, maybe an obscurity element to it, or a lesser known. It's like Jason's not going to choose Power Slave and be like, I think everybody should listen. Because I think, that's kind of goes without saying, but
that'd be Virtual 11.
That's it, definitely.
The Angel and the Gambler is the greatest Maiden song ever written.
Easily. I love hearing the same chorus 18 times in a row. It's really great.
I remember going into a record store when that album came out. Actually, it was right before. The guy had a promo. It was Checkered Records in Canton. And the owner was like something out of a Monty Python skit or something. His name was George. He was like orange. He smoked so much. He would just sit in there and smoke, and everything smelled like smoke in there. And it's kind of sad. He ended up dying of cancer, but he had a killer store. But I remember going in there right before Virtual 11 came out, and I was like, didn't really pay attention to it, but we were like shopping. I just looked up and said, dude, this sucks. What is this? And he was like, it's the new Maiden. I was like, holy shit. Awful. But got into a huge argument with King Fowley from Deceased about that several years ago, because he was like, Judas Priest is crap. Iron Maiden's never put out a bad album or a bad song. And I was like Angel and the Gambler would like to have a word with you. And he was like, love it.
Even Iron Maiden's best albums have some clunkers on them for sure. Like, come on.
Yeah, and I'm not saying the Priest doesn't either. I mean, the whole Nostradamus album, I couldn't even tell you what it sounds like. But it's like
not good.
You weren't that guy that listened to it for like 275 days straight.
No.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it was like it was on metal news sites. He listened to it for maybe it was even a year straight, every day at least once. And then it was news when he stopped listening to it.
Why? Because he committed suicide. It's just holy shit.
Yeah, psych ward.
Yeah, for real. But no, this is a good one. As soon as you mentioned it, I had like a couple of them instantly that popped into my head. And but I guess we could jump right into it. Actually, before we jump right into it, it was the 8th anniversary of Hanneman passing.
Yeah, yesterday, right?
That's crazy. That's some time flies, man.
One hell of a spider bite.
I mean,
No
not to be
kidding.
morbid, but I mean, is there a more metal way to go? What the fuck? Right.
Let me go get my cats. It's awesome. Hello. How you doing? Very nice.
Fuck, dude.
It's the best.
Incredible.
So,
Oh, hold on. I had to grab something.
all right.
Hello.
So who's up first?
Does Pat have Pat has Oh my God.
It's fantastic. What's up, Castro?
Beautiful. For a split second, I was like, I guess his wife's gonna do some laundry, some ironing behind him.
So I'm ready to talk. Let's talk some metal. Come on, what the hell's Patrick doing?
I just couldn't hang out without. I was gonna get the ore too, but
Dude, classic.
It's the best.
I have to drink out of it.
Dale's gonna
Smell
love
it
it.
first.
That's why I got the Ramon shirt on too. Offset
Is it nice and pressed?
it. It's 28 years old.
I think it would be way better if Castro was smoking a stogie. There you go. That's what we got. Come prepared. All right. Yeah,
All
we
right.
can get right into it. Wow. So who wants to go first? We'll have Nick go first. He's at the top, at least on my screen. So
All right. Well, the one I had you guys listen to, we talked about it a little while ago, or last episode, some of our best blind buys, and this was one of mine. There's a shop in Portland that is now defunct called Ozone Records. When I first moved up here, went in there quite a bit. Just going through their metal selection, used metal selection, not a whole lot in there. And I just, this is pre-internet, or there's internet, but not on your phone, right? So I just picked it up and like, what the hell is this? And just the artwork intrigued me. The pictures of the fact I was minoring in Russian at the time, and I saw that they were a Russian band. Just did a complete blind buy, and it's easily one of my top 5 best blind buys. It's interesting. I'll let you know right now. It's Mental Homes, Black Art. What is this? I think it's 97. It was also lets you know on the back that it was recorded under the sign of the Hale-Bopp Comet in 1997. I don't know if that's let you know that. Also love that at this shitty record store, they put it's a digipack, and they put a sticker on it, so you take it off, and I thought that was one of the, was that one of the stars? No, that's the digipack that ripped off the sticker.
You lost part of the album cover.
Thanks guys at Ozone.
is your copy?
Their album, this album is on the End Records, and their first album, Veil, is actually the first album that the End released. It's the End Records.
Oh, is it?
The End Records 1, it's their first album.
Wow.
Back when they were in Salt Lake. Way
Yeah.
back. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a fan. If you like, it's a hard album to classify. It's kind of black metal. It's kind of doom. It's keyboard heavy, but again, tasteful keyboards. They're very celestial keyboards. The vocals aren't high pitched screaming, shrieking. They're kind of just spoken with a little bit of a grunt to them. Long songs, beautiful stuff. There's no blast beats. It's just melodic as shit. Melodies, each song has huge melodic riffs going on in it, and I blind bought it, took it home within like the first 2 minutes of the first song. I'm like, what the hell is this? This is just fantastic. Then after this, they went to the Century Media, and their next album sucked ass, so that kind of sucks. But those first 2 albums, Veil and this, Black Art, Mental Home, huge fan of. There's some operatic clean women vocals in there. There's like a ballad of sorts that's really not a ballad. There's some songs with tubular bells, also known as like the tall chimes. Very, every song is very, the same vein, but they all vary enough that it keeps you interested for sure. And I also like that the keyboardist, his nickname is Maiden.
God.
Yeah. So yeah, I just bought this. I'm like, what the hell is this? Opened it up, checked it out, and been in love with it since. So I had you guys listen to this one. Tell me some thoughts about yours.
I actually ordered that from the End, not when it came out. It was a couple years later as part of like a bundle with a bunch of other shit I bought. And I had it for a couple years, and then it got fucked up because of the digipack. So I got rid of it because I was like, I'll just rebuy it. And then I never got around to it again. And it just kind of like slipped my mind, and I didn't listen to it for the longest time. And it was great when you were like, yeah, Metal Home, Black Art. And I thought, holy shit, you know, because I dug it. You know, it's awesome because like that, the time that it came out in, like the late 90s, that's when I was really into like, you know, those, like the first Ulver and fucking Arcturus, Mental Home. And I was trying to think of another band that came out at that time that I remember ordering off the End Records. They weren't on the End, but they were just distributed. And I want to say like the first name of the band was Thy, and it was like a red cover and it had like a dragonfly on it. I can't remember the name of it. It's been driving me nuts ever since I was thinking about Mental Home. But it was great. I think they were a Finnish band as well. But it was like all that shit around the same time. It's gonna fucking drive me completely insane now. But
Probably look that up. Like, I don't know actually. If you can look.
Yeah,
up
it's Thy Infernal. Is that the
No.
one? No,
this
I don't think Thy Infernal will have a butterfly on the cover.
no, they got like a dragon that looks.
Oh, a dragon. Okay.
yeah, it just it's gonna drive me completely insane now. I can't remember. You know what? I actually think, if I remember correctly, it's not Thy, it's Throes of Dawn. And it was Binding of the Spirit. I'm looking it up right now. Yep.
All right. I don't know.
Throes of Dawn. It came out in 2000. It just snapped. So, yeah, awesome. I loved it. I love Mental. That I've never heard Veil, and I never heard the ones after. And it said on Metal Archives that they're still active.
Well, they rejoined after that stinker. Like they tried to do like stony black metal blues rock kind of. It was just really like with a fretless bass. It just didn't work. But the first Veil is freaking amazing, and then the one that came out with like 10 years later is really really good too. It's not like the first two, but highly recommended.
That was a band I'd never heard until having to listen to it. I'd heard the name and that was it. But overall, I enjoyed it. I mean, I listened to it probably 6-7 times in the last few weeks.
Nice.
Like I said, that one song, just the first few seconds of it, had headphones on and was walking, and it was like, I thought it was almost like the Doors. I mean, then it kicked in a bit and didn't sound like the Doors, but it sounded like, you know, I was ready to hear Morrison start crooning.
No, actually, Jim Morrison is credited here with guest vocals on track 3. So.
Yeah, Silent Remembrance.
I went straight to that song, Pat, because when you commented,
It's just like about 4 or 5 seconds, but just the way it builds, just briefly. It's
yes,
Yeah.
I can hear it.
How about you, Larson? I know I chose that one to listen to for the 3 just because it was a little bit out of your wheelhouse, and I wanted you to.
Yeah, it was. I enjoyed it too. Got all the way through. I wrote also down on Metal Archives. It still says they're active. I also wrote down the number of views for each video that I listened to with all the bands. 1,500 views in 20 years. That's not very many. So
Yeah, it's kind of a bitch to listen to because there's not one full album on YouTube. You have to kind of go track by track, right?
yeah, this is the second of 4 albums that they have, and they also have an EP. I wrote down, I hear the doominess, I hear death metal, I hear black metal, and then I wrote down I hear Celtic Frost influences in the songs.
Interesting.
So I don't know. I think, you know, like as we've been doing these episodes, man, my listening is going full circle because I was really never a Celtic Frost fan, and now, I mean, you know, my workday's over and I'm throwing on, you know, Into the Pandemonium.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're growing up before our eyes, dude. At 50. You're
Growing
finally
out.
Awesome.
Wow.
Cool. Well, thanks
Yeah.
for listening to that. I love that. I'm just
Yeah,
it's such a great blind buy, and I've never heard another band like that. They're so unique, for sure. So
Excellent.
Yeah, maybe they need to do a cover of LA Woman and call it Moscow Woman.
I actually jammed it on Amazon Music. They got the full album on there.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised. I was like, I looked it up.
Yeah.
Holy shit, it's on there. But
Yeah.
is that where you listen to it, Pat?
I listened to it on Amazon and on Tidal. They had it both on both of them. So
Oh, does Solomon Grundy know it's on Tidal? Does Solomon Grundy know it's on Tidal?
I don't know if it's got the high bit encryption or whatever on that particular album.
I just
so.
love how the now blank thread not available on Tidal.
Yeah.
Available on Tidal.
Yeah.
All right.
Who's next? Jason?
You want me to go next? All right. My first obscure band that I think everybody deserves to listen to at least once is a one and done band out of the Netherlands. Kind of proggy, kind of thrashy, and I hadn't listened to this for quite a while, but for some reason when we thought of this theme, it immediately brought me to this album, and the name of the band is Imperium, and the name of the album is Too Short a Season.
Which comet was that one recorded during?
That joke went right over my head.
This one says it was recorded under the sign of the Hail Bop.
Oh, this one? Shit, you guys, I'm fucking old, man. I can't read this.
That should be a thing for I only record. I'm a black metal band. I only record albums under the sign of a comet.
No, this one was recorded, man, with I don't know, maybe with Nikolai Tesla doing some things on there with Thor. So
I never even heard of the band.
I'd never heard of them either. I couldn't find it anywhere but YouTube.
Yeah.
And I didn't write down how many views it had.
What label was it on?
It was on Leviathan Records.
Wow.
Maybe it was distributed in the States through that.
Yeah, I have heard of Leviathan.
I forgot to mention also, viewers, this album came out in 93. So, and that was pretty much it. Probably, during the time prog was dying, thrash was dying. This band probably came out a little bit too late, put out an album and disbanded.
Kind of reminded me of like Toxic or Gnarcrew a little bit, not more so Toxic, but I mean, you could hear those elements of the prog stuff with thrash, not as well refined, I didn't think, but it was solid.
Yeah, definitely good to have. I mean, I eat up anything back in that era, kind of early 90s.
Kid My Dick is from that era. Do you eat that up?
It goes without saying. All 2 inches of it. But
One bite.
no, man, Jay, I was like kind of surprised because I thought I heard of the band. Maybe it was just the song, like the band name is probably a title from like another band, like a song title. And
Sure.
I was here.
Yeah, I think it's your favorite Machine Head.
I was exactly. Which one's that on?
It's on
Through the Ashes of Empires.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
I just lost a couple cred points with the Castro back there. Talking about Machine Head. Bust out the Jankos and the ball bearing necklaces.
Oh fuck.
Yeah,
By the way, Rocky Dennis back there is ironing all my shirts, and then he's putting them. He's stacking them by genre. Like so, it'll be nice and like a nice crisp line down the sleeve too. So.
Is he arranging them so you don't wear the potentially same shirts to shows when they resume?
there's a little more sparkliness in my collection, but yeah.
But the interesting text that Nick gave me is when he wanted to know which band. He was like, which Imperium do you want us to listen to? And there's like one from the US, one from Norway, one from Sweden, one from Russia, one from Bulgaria, one from Spain, one from Portugal, the other one's from Great Britain, the other one's from Afghanistan, the other one's from India, and then there's the one from the Netherlands. And I was like, that one.
Yeah, I sent you a screenshot from the archives. There's like 84 bands named
84
Imperium.
Imperiums.
That's under the power metal now. Okay.
Cool. Next, Patrick.
I'm going to an album that was recorded in 1978 and apparently released in like a limited edition vinyl in 78, but never got like a semi-full release until 2002 on Monster Records, and that's Winterhawk, There and Back Again. It's a live album. Of course, I love live albums. It's got two shitty non-live albums at the end of it, or songs at the end of it, but came out in 2002, and I probably heard it around 2004, 2005. My neighbor was grilling one night and I was eating over there, and he said, "Hey, I think you're going to dig this." And he put it on, and like within one song, I was like, that's fucking awesome. By the end of the night, we'd listened to it probably twice while grilling, and then he loaned it to me, and I was working in the yard all weekend. I probably listened to it 10, 12 times over the course of the weekend, and then had to track it down online. Some kind of little known Chicago band. I guess, they only have 3 albums. One's live, one is kind of one of the main guys, and then that's their kind of only real official release that came out in the early 80s. And I think that was also hard to find. Actually, that might be the one that was only a limited edition and then came out years later for release, kind of when this one did. But the guitar playing, if you like dual guitars, dual leads, like Wishbone Ash, if you like 70s rock, but maybe more like Triumph or things like that, this is the way to go. I mean, the singer's awesome, but the guitar playing is what catches you. And they've got like some, 9-10 minute songs, and they don't even seem that long. I mean, they just keep going, and the guitar playing is amazing. As you can tell, the guitarist is the one that kind of is behind all this, because
He's on the cover.
He's on the cover. He's on the CD twice. And then there's the live shot from the show, and it's him.
Did he do anything else besides that?
No, I don't know. He just, I think he's got some solo albums out, but his name is like Jordan Macarius or Macarius,
Yeah,
I believe. But, if you like any US, specifically 70s rock, this album here, to me, it doesn't get any better. I mean, I listen to this more than anything from like 1978 that would be like, but Wishbone Ash, the dual leads, this album.
very cool. Yeah, I was actually kind of, you're like the only other person I know of that has ever even talked about Winterhawk. And I can't even remember where I came across it. Probably.
Were you ordering from Rockadrome at some point?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they were like, that was where that was when they would get a new batch in, you could get it. My neighbor actually had a Winterhawk shirt that he got from, I think from the guitarist, and then he left it at a show in Atlanta. And when we were at the same hotel, like 8 months later, he went and had him look through Lost and Found for his Winterhawk shirt. And
tell me the back of the shirt is a picture of the guitar player.
It's the guitar player on the front, if I remember correctly.
No, it's really good, man. I mean, that album there that you have is great. It's amazing that some of these bands just kind of fell under the radar, And
that was one of my thoughts when I was listening to it. Like, how are these people not bigger? I mean, it sounds like right up that right up that late 70s alley, and I'd never even heard of them or anything, and I was thoroughly impressed by it for sure.
That band would totally work on a classic rock station. Fit right in. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, it's badass. That I will be purchasing Winterhawk. Yeah, it's
All you
cool
need
stuff.
is this one and the one Kip has. Don't get the other one unless you just need to have to have it. But it's, to me, it's nothing like those two.
Yeah, this one actually has like an interview in it, like the story. The one thing, because I hadn't pulled it out since I bought it, and you know, I jammed yours, and I was like, holy shit, should listen to mine. I haven't heard it in forever. And then I was going through it, and like the first page, it said that their sound man was named Henry Myers, and that's my 8-year-old's name. Henry Myers. So I was like, holy shit. But yeah, it's great stuff. And to be honest with you, I think the only other person I've ever heard say anything about it was King Fowley from Deceased, another Deceased story. But I think I remember seeing it on his Facebook page, because sometimes he posts some obscure stuff, and I was like, oh man, you know. Excellent pick though. Definitely.
Do you ever listen to Ashbury? Have you heard that band?
Dude, yeah. And
because that we got that one, my neighbor and I both bought that one as a hope that it was going to be Winterhawk, and we like it, but it to us it's still just a step down, but it's close.
The Winterhawk is good. That Ashbury there's some people talking about that more frequently online now. It's like one of those bands that every time I'm on certain websites, they'll be like Ashbury, you know, they got like new t-shirts. Some place in Mexico called Burning Leather, I think, was putting their long sleeve out, and it looks awesome. And I was like, this is crazy. What are you gonna have like 5 fucking people buy this shirt? Because I mean, they're so obscure, but that album is really cool though. And it's like, I always thought that band was new wave of British heavy metal, but they're not. I think they're from Arizona or something, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm not sure where, but yeah, definitely US.
But no, that's another good band name. Dropping that name too. It's kind of like Winterhawk. So I will move into my first. So this is the heyday of anybody that knows me. I'm sure you guys know me. And now that stoner and doom, especially classic era, that's my shit. And anything that's from that era, I mean, there's very few albums that I did not like. And whether it was Man's Ruined Records or the Music Cartel, Rise Above, Meteor City, can't forget Meteor City Records. This one was on the Music Cartel. I bought it because the album cover looked just fucking awesome. It looked rad. And I thought, man, the band name is awesome. And it's literally 2001, probably in my top 3 stoner albums all time. They put 2 albums out and then kind of broke up, or, you know, that's Roach Powder, Atomic Church. Absolutely just a disgusting, blunt-tastic stoner record.
I know someone that likes smoking blunts.
Nothing wrong with that. But super good stuff, man. And when you listen to every song is good, every song is catchy as hell. And it's indicative of that era, that late 90s, early 2000s. It's like that sweet spot for stoner where
Kip, that guitar tone is like the fuzziest tone I've ever heard. Like, just going off the name, I had a feeling, knowing you, okay, I think I know where this is going. They even like Caius. Like, it's just like the most distorted fuzz, that whatever pedal they were using was over the top, just complete fuzzed out stoner rock. It was freaking incredible.
One thing that's crazy on that album, that when I listened to it, because I had it on and I wasn't paying attention to song titles, and when it would be a few days later and I'd spin part of it again, the song, it's Into the Center. I was like, when I heard it, I was like, that sounds like fucking it to me. That sounds, it's not as fuzzy as the rest of the album, and it sounds to me almost like John Bush. It sounds like La Raza era Armored Saint. Listen to that fucking song, because whenever I hear him sing on that song, I'm like, this is Armored Saint, and it's not like to me the rest of the album.
Mhm. Yeah, the band Francisco, I don't know to say Rencaret or Rencaret, he ended up after kind of years later, he's in a band named Dean Allen Floyd, kind of just random band name, but you see the hilarious. This is very like psychedelic. It's got like some Rolling Stones-ish type stuff going on. This is killer shit too. And I actually got this little 10-inch.
This little 10-inch.
Some cool stuff. But this is obviously Francisco from Roach Powder, and so all the killer songwriting that's on this is, if you like, it's not as fuzzed out. It's I would say is as good, but it's a different style. It's not as fuzzed out. And I was just stoked, Jason, when you bought Viejo Diablo, because I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, so to those who are listening and watching, I listened to that Roach Powder in full, and I'm not kidding you guys. Once I finished that album, I got on Amazon, I got on eBay, and I was looking for Roach Powder. I immediately liked these guys. Super cool. Super cool. And I end up, here's the first album by Roach Powder.
Yeah, Jason, you might want to clear your search history if you're searching for Roach Powder.
Yeah, found it on eBay for $5. Came from Arizona, got it like 2 days later. Yeah, super cool stuff. Thank you, Kip. This is why I'm doing this. So much fun. So cool.
This was recorded by Skogsberg and Fred Espy, the first one, in that Sunlight Studio. So
yeah, and these guys are from Sweden. The album came out 20 years ago, and on YouTube, this album, Atomic Church, has 900 views.
Fucking shame, dude.
That's
shame.
That's 45 views a year, ladies and gentlemen. That's like less than 4 views a month.
That's crazy. I actually had to end up buying this over again.
What is that, a digipack? What format is that?
Yeah, it's like a little mini LP thing almost. It's digi, but
okay. Yeah.
The only thing I don't like about it is the way that the disc comes out. It's like it's.
Yeah, I hate those.
that.
That shit.
But it band had a short, sweet career. Both albums are killer.
Yeah,
I recommend. I think Atomic Church is actually still available, if I remember correctly. The Music Cartel was incredible because they even had like Orange Goblin and other bands like that, like the early Orange Goblin stuff. This is great. So I'm stoked that Jason bought that. I was all giddy.
Yeah.
That other thing I noticed on there, when the Bullets of Creation, he's got the effect on his vocals, and just even the song to me sounds like kind of that era COC a little bit to it.
And that's
even when the effect comes off and the music and everything on that song, I was like, yeah,
If you like, because I know Pat, you're like me, a huge COC fan. I think you'd actually really like that Viejo Diablo, because it's, I think, even more like COC. Atomic Church has a little bit more psych stuff going on in it, like spacey. And obviously I'm such a huge Monster Magnet fanatic that I think it's a great companion to any Monster Magnet, album. But the Viejo Diablo was a little more. This guy I used to work with at a record store who said that he was really into COC and Down, and he liked that album more than Atomic Church. But so you might want to check that out. It's really cool
Yeah, I
stuff.
definitely will. If I can find the $5 seller that Jason did.
Somewhere in
Otherwise,
Arizona.
I'll be their 901st view.
Goes back up to you, Nick.
All right. I had to throw in a folk metal album. Again, this is non-rowing the boat folk metal.
Yeah, but it sure is fuck is horn metal.
Yeah, there should be, well, I don't know, it's not a drinking horn swinging back and forth in 6/8
Yeah, but isn't it?
time.
The name of it is named after like a mead horn.
Is it? I haven't done that.
I believe so. I
Apparently-
had to do some research.
Apparently you did more research, and I've had this since the day it came out back in, I don't even know when the hell. I can't remember. But this is another one of those so hit and miss, like back when folk metal was coming out and this one label, like I just bought everything by them. This is their 8th release. And like some of the stuff was so good and some of the stuff was so shitty. It was like Einheit production, Einheit label. This is one of their hits for sure. It is folk metal. The first 10 minutes are just acoustic guitar, violin, and like some clean vocals. And all the songs besides the intro are like, 8 to 10 minutes long. A lot of acoustic guitars, but a lot of just the heavy guitars are chugging along, come in. All clean vocals, but if you like vocal harmonies, it's all in German. I can't understand a goddamn word. But just the vocal harmonies that are going on with it, and just the violin without being fruity, but just like, again, tasteful violin. Beautiful melodies. It's a band called Ode Rear, and the album is Gotha Leader.
Was that odor in your ear? Or odor in your rear?
Odor
in your rear.
Ode Rear. In fact, Rocky Dennis, I've got a shirt back there that he's going to iron in the next, I don't know, he's getting through the pile, but there's an Ode Rear shirt in there that I had to buy because I'm just such a huge fan of this band. Again, another band that I never hear anyone in the folk metal genre talk to. Like anytime I do go to a folk metal show, I could wear this just to, I don't want to sound like an asshole, but I have to see if anyone knows this band. I get like no comments because everyone's wearing a fucking Ailstorm shirt or some other bullshit. Like, so no one has any idea. No one's ever said anything about that shirt, but I fucking love it. Just mainly for the vocal performances and just the overall melodies. It's just, everything is just done well. I've always been looking for another band that sounds like this, and I haven't found them yet. Sometimes there's bands that sound like this, but it's only metal or only folk, but the way they blend the two together, this will probably be a top 20 album, like most important album to me of all time, because it's just wow. The second I heard it, it just sunk its teeth into me, and I could sing it back to front to back.
I'm gonna say of all the albums on for this show, that's my favorite.
Besides the ones you chose, I'm assuming.
No, not even necessarily. I mean, granted, I've only listened to it for a couple of weeks, but it like something about it. I didn't know what to expect going in, and when I put that thing on, I was sucked right in. I mean, I listened to the whole thing from start to finish the first time, no breaks. I was just like, God, this is awesome.
Yeah. It's also, if people are listening, if you know the band Menhir, Menhir, it's their side project band, who's an also very underappreciated band. But they're not folk metal; they're more black metal with some folk influences. But this is straight up non-prouncy, awesome folk metal.
I was always meaning to ask you, Nick, is it because you're a music teacher? Is that why you kind of gravitate towards the more folk and like symphonic? So is it
partly? Yeah, that's why. I mean, I like black metal more than death metal because it's melodic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I grew up as an oboe player, and as in orchestras and bands through my whole life, and still am. So like just a brutal riff doesn't do much for me, but that's why again I like death and some more melodic death metal bands, because at least there is something, not like I'm whistling something of Leprosy in the shower, but it's a there's still a hook, there's a melodic, you know, the riff apexes and goes back down. There's a flow to it. There's at least something I can hum along to. So that's for sure, Kip. That's definitely very large part of it. And the folk thing too is just, you know, I grew up with my grandparents were Russian immigrants, and just they listened to a lot of Russian folk. So I grew up with a lot of folk metal in my household. So, or not folk metal, obviously, just folk, folk songs, like going to church with my grandparents, just a lot of folk music. My parents loved all the 60s, Peter, Paul and Mary and Joan Baez shit. And I just kind of always gravitated towards any folk music from any region. So when folk metal first came out, I just, you know, latched onto it because it was so cool to hear my two favorite genres of folk music and metal together.
Mhm.
And then, like we talked about last time, then the scene became a fucking joke. So, you know, some of the bands are still holding on. Like Arcona is still just a great band. They were one of the premier bands, and they didn't shit the bed by going all, you know, commercial. Even though they're on Nuclear Blast or whatever, they're still true to themselves, and they're not having people doing jigs in a pit or any bullshit like that. So,
Dude, my buddy Art, he is so obsessed with Arcona.
yeah.
Arcona, but he's with you when it comes to all that folk metal stuff. He's a big fan of all that stuff, and I enjoy it. I agree with you that it's kind of like melodic black metal or even symphonic black metal. I think back in the day it was sweet. Now it's just like super corny, mesh shirts. Fucking
Well,
awesome.
don't talk about mesh shirts. Your favorite band, Moonspell, Rocky Dennison and I back there saw them, and he was just wearing a mesh shirt up on stage.
God, they had their mesh shirt era. Yeah, I have to admit. But
Yeah.
no, it was a very cool album. I can always count on you for I can count on Patrick for like just a bunch of stuff I've never heard of. Jason for like thrash, and definitely you for, you know, all of the black metal, the folk metal. And this is just another one that I wrote down that I was actually going to give to Arn, because he probably has it. I don't know. He's the shit he listens to.
I don't know, Larson, how many views does it have on YouTube?
Which one? Odor in Your Rear?
Yeah, Odor in My Rear.
Well, the album came out in 2005, so I have found 3,600 views. I wrote down the female vocals are operatic. Of course, it's all in German. I heard Gregorian chants in the background, so a little bit of a religious influence, and I enjoyed it too.
Wow.
I think I would enjoy it more if we were together, like drinking beer at a bar, just throw it on.
This is
And
a
rowing.
photo. This is them.
And rowing.
I mean, come on.
Awesome.
So great.
I mean,
Jason, you get to hold the flag, Jason.
Yeah. That's Jason back there. Yeah.
Right there.
By the way, this is now I realize all 3 CDs I brought out for this, they're all busted up. Like I don't have one intact CD. That's probably because I listened to them so much. They're all broke to shit. Okay.
Very cool. Up to you, Jay.
All right. My second one was a suggestion from, I want to say it was Pat and his neighbor. It's led by the guitar player of a band that we all know. And he decided that he wanted to put a band together that paid homage to the classic rock of the 70s feel. Kind of like if Yes and Kansas and Styx all put a band together. And it's heavy on the Hammond organ, or is it Kurzweil organ? You guys have to let me know. But the band is led by Kurt Vanderhoof from Metal Church, and I love everything they have put out. I think they have 6 albums now, and the name of the band is Presto Ballet. And this is their first album, Peace Among the Ruins, which for the hardcore fans, I think this one pretty much is everybody's favorite. And I think it was came out in 05. I don't know, Pat will have to.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Pat will have to confirm it because I can't read shit anymore.
I do have to say that's probably one of the worst band names.
Yeah.
It's awful. Like if I was going through a used CD store and I saw Presto Ballet, like even without listening to a note, like fuck this.
Fuck that,
Presto Ballet.
I never knew Kurt Vanderhoof was in. I've heard of the band, but I never knew like he was in that band.
Yeah. Just 70s worship, super clean.
Probably Hammond B3.
Yeah, it was really good, Jason. Like I'm not gonna say I loved it, but there were parts where it's just like, oh my God, this is great. And then they would kind of go off the rails a little bit. And then we go back into the first part I liked. It was definitely enjoyable.
It's totally like if you listen to a Kansas album, you'll get hooked on a few parts, then all of a sudden you'll be like, 10 minutes later, you'll be like, what the fuck have I been doing? You know?
Yeah, it was definitely Kansas for sure.
Yeah.
It's not surprising that it was on Inside Out.
Oh yeah.
That's totally an Inside Out band, which is not a bad thing. They put out some cool stuff, but yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it too. I was again blown away that it was Kurt Vanderhoof. So
I think the keyboard work was probably my favorite. I wasn't a big fan of the vocalist was okay. I thought they could have upgraded on the vocalist, but the keyboard work for sure was really fun to listen to.
Get the vocalist from Winterhawk in Presto Ballet.
There you go.
very cool stuff. That's all you had.
It's up to you, Pat.
All right, this one I can't really say a whole hell of a lot about because I've only known about the band for like 3 months, but it's a band that has been around for a handful of years and has now 2 albums and an EP out. And this album kept coming across my Facebook feed as like something I should listen to, or from Willowtip Records, which I used to buy a lot from. And I saw the cover and I was like, yeah, no, I don't know. It didn't really catch me, but I was finally like, one day I was like, I'm going to check it out. But before I did, I went on Metal Archives and it said Melodic Death. And I was kind of like, oh God, I don't even know if I want to check it out. And it totally caught me off guard. The first song didn't hook me, but once the first song was over and it moved on to the rest of the album, it was another one where I think I probably listened to it all the way through once I made it through that first kind of hard song to get into for me. And that's Countless Skies, Glow. And, then I realized once I listened to it, Melodic Death, they were talking more like Insomnium, that kind of melodic death. And has a lot of, proggy elements to it, but it's still heavy. You've got the clean vocals, which the clean vocals reminded me of the guy from Mercenary. And then, you got some blasting parts here and there, but then I ended up liking the mellow parts more than even the heavy. I mean, I like the transitions too, but the back half of the album is the title track, Glow, broken into 3 parts, kind of like Fate's Warning would do. And that to me is the highlight of the album. The first half is great, but then the bottom 3 tracks, it's perfectly sequenced. And, it's unfortunate. I've been looking in the EP and the other album, I can stream them, but I can't find physical copies even on Discogs. I don't think I could find them. So, they're from the UK, don't know much about them. I mean, I don't even own any Insomnium albums, and I own this, and these guys are obviously influenced by them.
Yeah, like you said about Oberrear, that was my catch of the episode here. I'm gonna buy that. It was freaking amazing. It was interesting enough without being jerk off too proggy, too weird, too trying to do different things at the same time.
But when they do, they move out of it quickly enough.
Yeah. And then at the end of the first song, they just blasted. But when they blasted, it was like for like 15 seconds, it was done. It was so cool. It's an incredible album. I'm really happy that you shared that with me because I will try to find that on Discogs for sure.
Yeah, this one you can get for like 10 or 12 bucks on Amazon.
Yeah, no, you actually turned me on to it. I think you texted me about it several months back, and you were like, have you ever heard this band? And it was on Willow Tip, and I always thought Willow Tip was more like kind of grind death metal.
Grind and technical death and
Yeah.
stuff was there kind of.
You're thinking about Penis Tip. Penis Tip is more grind for sure.
But yeah, so I was kind of like, oh, I mean, it was surprising that it was on that label, but it's good to hear a band like Insomnium, you know, they can still put out melodic death metal that doesn't sound cheesy as hell. I mean, it's really well done. You know, it's a cool album. I wrote it down on my list of shit that, you know, I'm interested in getting, and I don't know.
And that's a band for me that would fit like right into prog power.
Oh yeah,
That's what
when I heard it, I was like, oh, they could like
totally
like
fit there.
15 years ago they probably couldn't have played at prog power, but now they would totally fit right in.
Right in, and that's what I put. I said they mix up the vocals, which brought me in. Oh, they're death. Oh, it's clean. You know, cool. And I put very proggy too. And talk about the number of views, Nick. This band goes off the map on YouTube. They have 12,000 views.
I was gonna say 1,200. You know,
No, they're over 12,000 now. So, you know, we're talking damn near commercial radio now.
Yeah, I mean, after this episode airs, they'll be at like 12,040.
40. But yeah, that's another one. Yeah, thank you, Pat. That's another one that I look to purchase.
Excellent. So I guess I'll go next. I'll save my one I had you guys listen to last.
Although apparently we all listened to all of them anyway, but
Yeah,
in case you didn't get a chance.
That's what,
Yeah.
You're right. That's the funny thing. That's what ended up happening. I just listened to all of them all the way through
Well,
anyway.
the Firehawk I listened to like first half or 2/3. I got the point and something because I was busy, but yeah. Listen to most of the shit.
I can't remember where I came across this band. I can't remember where I first heard them. The vocalist is what really kind of sucked me in. Yeah. But kind of a weird name, Jonathan Scott K. Like the abbreviate, you know, it's like the last name. It's strange, but anyway, Q5 Seattle band, Steal the Light.
What's up with all the Seattle bands on our episodes? What's up with that?
Came out in '84. This was actually it's a No Remorse Records double CD. Has a bunch of rare and unreleased stuff. This is the alternate cover, which is corny as hell in there.
Oh God!
But
none of the first cover wasn't corny.
I was gonna say, as opposed to that that spaceship that looks like Halloween's guitarist's guitar. You know?
Oh God!
But this is it's just straight phenomenal 80s heavy metal, kind of no frills, just in your face. The vocals are, I think, off the charts.
I got some like Boston kind of out of it.
Really?
Maybe it's just because of the art was throwing me off because it had that spacey.
Yeah, it's like the spaceship, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, but
I got loudness out of it.
Yeah.
Like one of the songs sound like loudness.
Yes. No, that's good. Like kind of lightning strikes, thunder in the east. That kind of it's like in the same vein. No, that's a good call, man. And the song "Pull the Trigger," his vocals. When I play that for people who's never heard that song, they're like, "Holy fuck, dude! This guy's voice is awesome."
That's the song I heard back. I think it was '85. I had bought that Hit Parader compilation called The Wild Bunch, and that was the first track on it. And I think it's a slightly different version than the one that's on the album. I'm pretty sure. I mean, it's pretty similar, but it's a little different. And when I heard that, I was like, why isn't this band huge? You know, this guy can sing, and it was heavy but melodic, and it was, 1985. I was like, this band is going places. And then I never even saw the album. I've never even owned the album. I
Yeah.
had that one song, and then once YouTube came around, that's how I, happened across it, and then streaming and whatnot.
Yeah, no, it's I think one of the things that killed the band was the follow-up is When the Mirror Cracks. I love it, but it's like it's so commercial and just keyboard heavy. The vocalist doesn't even sound the same, and it's the same guy, but it's kind of like I love the first King Cobra album with Carmine Appice on drums and Johnny Rod from Wasp on bass, and I love that album. I think it's one of the greatest albums, 80s hard rock / metal albums. Mark Free's vocals are incredible. The follow-up is the Thrill of a Lifetime is like the same thing. It starts here, and then the follow-up just kind of goes down, and it's super commercial. That's when they had the Iron Eagle track, soundtrack. And it's when I listened to Mirror Cracks, I was like, holy shit, it reminds me of that kind of that same dynamic. We have this first album, every song just rolls, and then the second album, it's like they just tried to go way too commercial, and maybe that's what killed them. But they did come out with one several years later. It's that guy's vocals are kind of like, it's 80s, that's it, because his vocals are so gruff. I don't know, there's like a grittiness to them that it's just not going to carry over into 30 40 years later, whatever. I think Blackie Lawless is like one of the few guys that can even remotely sound like that still. And but I love when you get onto archives and the lyric content for Q5 is women, love, life, and war. It kind of sounds like Jay's
Yeah, I was gonna say
his life.
Thanks.
No, but
the other tidbit of information on this band that I found totally interesting and awesome was that the guitar player for Q5 was Floyd Rose.
the tremolo.
And if you don't know who that is, he created the tremolo system for guitars.
wow.
Cool.
They used to be, I think they used to be named Quartet 5, honestly, it was their name, and then they shortened it to Q5, which
Is it more obscure? Like,
Yeah, I think Floyd Rose was in TKO, was like another Seattle.
yeah, they were on Combat, but they were not a combat band.
No. No.
They had that In Your Face album with like the boxer over the the guy.
Yeah.
Let down. Total
Maybe.
letdown.
Maybe it was him. I can't remember. But no, I can't. Yeah. But great stuff. It's like, anyway, Steal the Light. It's on No Remorse Records. I think it's German or Greek. Might be.
highly recommended. That second track was my favorite. The
Lone-
late. Yeah, love that. That was
And
great.
then didn't what's his name reissue it? Isn't that one also available from what's the guy that did the DBCs recently and the picture albums?
Dive Bomb.
Yeah, didn't Dive Bomb do Q5?
I don't know.
Hmm.
I could never find it until it came out on No Remorse, which I think is a Greek label, I think. But and I only came across it by, there's a guy that I follow on Facebook, and he mentioned it, and I was just like, holy shit. And yeah, the booklet's really cool, got really awesome pictures in it, a whole story, vocals, and actually goes song by song and tells you everything, you know, like what the songs are about, like how they wrote them and whatnot. But yeah, pretty interesting stuff. Stay away from the follow-up unless you like turbo fluff 80s keyboard driven.
I do.
I do, like I said, I like it, but ended up getting like a 30% on Metal Archives. So, you know, and surprisingly, this one wasn't even rated on Metal Archives, which is weird.
Wow.
You figured this one would be rated and the other one would be like, no, stay away from it. But I don't know. Definitely a gem.
All right.
All right, I'll do my third. 3 of 3. Look at that. We might keep it under 2 errors tonight. Who knows? So I did a black metal or blackish metal, folk metal, and then I have to go with one of my other favorite genres, which is power metal. What again is this? 2002. Not this album wasn't a blind buy, but the previous album was a blind buy at Everyday Music in Portland. Just picked it up, put it in the, you go back to the CD, they had the 5-disc changer behind the station. You put it in, like, put the headphones on, listen to it. Within like one note, I bought that album back in 2000, 2001. And then this album came out, and I had to, like, no one in town was like ordering this, so I had to like brave the internet back then. I'm going through some random website. Like, I hope I didn't get this ripped off because I really want to get this album. If you like neoclassical power metal, lots of keyboards, lots of ripping guitar solos, keyboards and guitar solos playing together, like early Stradivarius, early Sonata Arctica, et cetera, et cetera. The whole time I didn't know that it was a female singer until I got the CD and opened it up, and then holy shit, there was a female singer in there, because it sounded like a dude just singing in falsetto the entire time. Like, oh my God, no, it is a female. This is the band Darkmoor from Spain, Spanish power metal band, The Gates of Oblivion. Some of my favorite shit on here, like the song A New World is probably one of my favorite power metal tracks. If you ever listen to A New World on this, it's just ripping. It's melodic as fuck. They're shredding tasteful shredding, and they look like this. I mean, come on, how could you not? It's like it's Rhapsody without the orchestra, without the violins and the bombastness. Amazing melodies. Just, I mean, I've got enough of this crap. The last song on this album, they cover the Mozart song "Ires Irae." It's a great time if you want just blistering, fast, melodic, shredding power metal. No one talks about Darkmoor enough. The first album sucks. The second album, this one, and the EP that it's acoustic are great. And then Elisa, the vocalist, left, and the band went to shit. But the second and third albums are essential.
I remember seeing that back in the day, and I never listened to it until, prepping for the episode, but that's also in that kind of sweet spot for power metal, that early 2000s. There's so much awesome shit that came out, around that time. And I had a buddy that every time we went to Ultrasound Records up in Cleveland, he would always just get stacks. It was like stacks of power metal. That's all it was. And I'm pretty sure he probably at some point got Darkmoor.
You talking about Mark?
Yes.
Yeah, had to have been.
Yeah, because he was power metal fanatic. And so, but I'd never heard this. I loved it. I mean, I love that early 2000s stuff. So I love that area.
Power metal from 98 to 03 is just, you said the golden era.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I don't know, some of the albums back in the day reminded me of Running Wild album covers, maybe because it was that, I don't know if Andreas Marshall did some of the album covers, because he was kind of like the Blind Guardian, Running Wild, he did so many of those bands, those European bands back
Yeah.
in the day. It's kind of like the Ed Repka of power metal, you know. But really cool stuff.
Yeah, I had a hard time with it, but that's just because that, like, I never got into that era of it. You know, basically once Keeper of the Seven Keys Part 2 came out, I didn't listen to any power metal until I started going to prog power. And even then I only listened to it when I saw it. So it was hard for me to get through, not because it was like bad musicianship or anything like that. I can't do it. It's something, you know, as I've gotten older, I'm more.
All right. How do I leave the meeting? Do I hit what?
But it's one of those that I'll definitely check out again to give it another, because I couldn't like do it in one sitting. I just would be a song and then stop and then another song a few hours later. And I just, yeah, but that's just me with.
Cool.
With,
I'm gonna delete your number out of my phone. It's fine. I get it.
can you mail me that Ham's towel back?
What about you, Jay? What did you think about it?
I own the album.
All right.
Yeah, I own it. I own it. And the funny part is, I mean, I've heard the name before, and then I went to my collection. I don't even remember buying it.
I probably bought it at Prog Power when they were having some
I
probably
probably
like
did.
end of the fest where people were trying to sell out their CDs so they didn't have to fly them back home. And you were probably like 3 sheets to the wind and we're like, look, I got 5 CDs for $20. You know?
I love that you own that. You don't remember buying it.
Yeah, that was, you know, my, probably did buy it at Prog Power and the height of my depression, you know, just don't even realize what I was doing. But yeah, I mean, that type of power metal, that was right up my alley at the time. You know, and since then I've kind of gone like Pat. I've kind of put it to the wayside. You know, of course I still listen to the Halloweens and Walls of Jericho and Keepers 1. And yes, I am looking forward to the new Halloween album this coming June, because the expectations are absolutely through the freaking roof.
Kai and Michael back? Come on.
Oh my God, Kai. He's power metal god.
Can
I love Gamma Ray.
Can we just I would be totally 100% for it if they just got rid of Andy Darris and had Kai sing.
I don't like Darris at all. I can't do it. It's hard.
You're right.
I
agree.
I never.
Did you listen to the Better Than Raw?
It's still sealed.
Okay. So you have not.
So I haven't.
Well, I remember I had it, and then I probably got rid of it, but then Nick came out to visit, and we went to a record store, and they had it used, and Nick was like, "You're gonna fucking buy it, like while I'm here." And it's great, man. Musically, it's killer. I just can't. Moon Sorrow. There you go. But yeah, dude, I can't do the Darris.
Neither can I.
I don't know.
I want to like it because it's Halloween, but
the new songs I thought were really, really good. So
losing Kiske for me hurt. It hurt.
Yeah.
That's on you. That's on you. All right. Well, I'm sorry to bring down this episode with my power metal album.
No, it's a great album, man.
Jason, go ahead. Fuck off. You guys suck.
I own it. Nick, I own it.
Rocky Dennis owns it.
Yeah. All right. The last band here is basically a brand new band, formed, I believe, in early 2018. I am all over this band. I am so geeked about this band. They play basically traditional metal. This is the album I wanted the 3 other gentlemen to listen to. This band is the brainchild of Trevor William Church, and he is the son of William Church, who is the basically the bass player of Montrose and Sammy Hagar back in the 70s. And
What?
yeah, he's the son of Bill the Electric Church.
Dude, what the?
Yeah.
You just blew my mind.
And
Wait, you knew something. You knew something that Kip didn't. What the fuck?
yeah, isn't that great?
Well, I want to thank Jay for being a part of this, but he's going to have to go. There's Bill Church.
Yeah,
There.
it is.
Wow,
Right
dude,
there.
that you just blew my
Isn't that
mind.
cool? Isn't that cool?
Never knew.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So here is Bill Church's Spawn. The name of the band is Haunt. And in 3 years, Trevor has put out 6 albums and 2 EPs since 2018. And I'm all over this band. They would have fit right in my wheelhouse growing up in high school. Just a classic, great 80s sound, super clean. His vocals are super clean. Here, let me go grab a poster that I just put up. I just put up in my hallway on the fan club page. He
Awesome.
signed it. Yeah. And every order, I have like 8 Haunt t-shirts now. He puts like these little
If you have t-shirts, Rocky Dennis will iron them for you.
I'll get that extra large iron because you're gonna need it for my shirts. So yeah, I'm very interested on what you guys have to think of it.
That's Shadow Kingdom, right?
No, he has his own label now. I think the
Did he start on Shadow Kingdom? Or?
yeah, he started on Shadow Kingdom with Tim. I think the last one was Mind Freeze. That was on Shadow Kingdom. So that was
Yeah, because they rep the shit out of those albums.
Burst into Flame, If Icarus Could Fly, that's number 2, and then Mind Freeze was number 3, and then I guess that ended the contract with Shadow Kingdom. So he has his own label now. It's called Church Recordings. So I have him on my Facebook page. I even asked him, man, you should have your dad play on one of your songs. I think that would be cool. But yeah, he said his dad's getting up there in age, and I'm like, you got some slower tunes that your dad can play on. I think that'd be super cool if you did that.
Well, like I said, dude, like you literally blew me away with that. I had no idea because I'm such a huge Montrose and Montrose.
And he's got a fan club page on Facebook. He responds to everybody. Trevor's a super nice guy.
Plus, doesn't he have like 2 or other bands that also release like 2 albums a year?
Yeah, he used to. It was Beastmaker. Yeah. So that band, I think he said Beastmaker is done. I'm not too sure, but that was his more doom band, right?
I thought Hunt was done.
But what's that?
I thought Hunt was done. Are they still going?
No, Hunt is not done.
Okay.
So he's got another album coming out in a couple of months. It's called
so for my feedback though, Jason, like I loved the riffs, and I said that earlier, but like the vocals, if that band had an actual good vocalist or even a great vocalist, they'd be amazing. His vocals to me were pretty stagnant, not a lot of range, kind of the same sounding intervals going on. If they just hired someone else to do some vocals to take over and make the songs really kick on, like it'd be freaking great, because it sounds just like what's the genre called? Rocky Dennis hates Nuovum, but this is Nuothum.
New wave of Nuothum. Yeah.
Nuothum.
There you go.
So like if they just had a singer that had true pipes, I think I'd just be all over that shit in a heartbeat. But the riffs and the playing were just incredible for sure.
Yeah, I think, I told you this before, Jason. Everything about the band I think is awesome. Like I love the album covers. The music is great. Um, I agree with Nick. I don't think the vocals are bad, but there's something, it's not just Haunt, but there's a lot of these newer, like new wave or true heavy metal bands that come out that um the music is right there and it's spot on.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to the vocals, again, I don't think that he's bad at all. But I think that if he had somebody with that kind of music that had like a good range, which is why that band that I just posted on the board, that Witch Hazel, I was blown away by that vocalist because he actually has like a shit ton of range. And I think that's why I put that band off for so long, is because there's so many of these bands that come out that I'm like, man, I'm totally in it. And then it's like the vocals just kind of fall flat. But I think the Haunt is a little above that. He's like almost right there. I think it's cool that he's doing his own shit.
Yeah.
He's out on his own. And
Yeah,
I was
he
like,
has total control of the band.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was laughing my ass off as how many albums he put. I was like, Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
dude. It's like new
Yeah,
album.
when you just said 2018, I was like, God, seems like there's always something being promoted by Haunt. You know?
Yeah. They were just on a new they did a Sabbath cover. I think they were on a new Sabbath tribute. You might want to check out, Jason, but I can't remember what song they did. Saint Vitus Dance. I think they did a cover of that. And it was pretty cool. I mean, musically it's right there. Like the dude I always thought they were on Shadow Kingdom too. And when you had us listen to this and I looked into it, I was a little blown away that they weren't anymore. And I kind of thought, I was like, man, I really hope this band doesn't fall kind of like Deceased. I'm bringing up Deceased again. But Deceased never really got off the ground. They were on Relapse and then they really haven't. I mean, they're on Hell's Headbangers now, which is a fucking badass label, but I hope that he can do something with that. I hope they don't just kind of like disappear into obscurity, because definitely the music was awesome.
Yeah, that kind of music's just, like I said, it's right up my alley.
Yeah.
When
I
listened to-
liked it, but it and I totally am happy that there are bands putting that kind of stuff out. But to me, it was like the vocals also, there wasn't something that hooked me with them, like, oh, this vocalist carries it, because it didn't. But to me, then I was kind of like, yeah, but if I want something real traditional like this, that's not the original traditionals, I'll just go to those first 3 Wolf albums. Because that's, to me, those first 3 Wolf albums are kind of in that same vein. I mean, they're still around putting out albums, but those first 3 to me were untouchable as far as the traditional sound and the high vocals and all that. I mean, I thought it was a good album though. I mean, I'll listen to it again and I'll check out more, because they're a band I've listened to a song here and there over the last couple of years, but I've never bought anything from them.
One thing
Yeah.
I got from listening to all their stuff is, if you like one, you're gonna like all the other ones, because it's like the guy's quality is just the same. It's it's like it starts off good, and just musically, I think it's right there. There's a lot of kind of like when I go down the YouTube rabbit hole and I try to find new stoner and doom bands. There's a channel called New Wave True Heavy Metal Full Albums. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
is it true or traditional?
Traditional.
Is it traditional?
That's what I
think so,
thought.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's basically so many of those. Like I go through probably 25 videos before I get to one where I'm like, okay, this vocalist is pretty good. I think like the new Warrior Path is on there. That's where I heard that Witch Hazel. Well, the Warrior Path is good because they got that fucking Daniel Hyman guy from
Lost Horizon.
Who's unreal. But that's kind of the thing, is like a lot of Canadian bands like Cauldron, which I think Haunt are way better than Cauldron, but Cauldron's like the same thing where the music's pretty cool, but then the vocalist is like, he's got no balls. I saw him open for Enforcer. The music was great. And then he started singing, and it was kind of like, everybody was like, oh, all right. And I don't think Haunt is like that. I don't think his vocals are like that, but it's kind of, I'd love to see him with somebody that has range, almost like Halford.
Well,
Yeah.
you think about any of the traditional bands, what
Just go
what
find
sets
another
those traditional
Halford.
bands apart is, you've got this unique, awesome vocalist, and those don't come around that often,
Yeah.
Wanting to play that style of that genre of metal.
You should get Ripper Owens to do some of the vocals.
Yeah, I'm sure he's free. He'll do anything.
He lives right down the road here. He's playing at some shithole bar in Kent coming up on the 15th. It says Ripper Owens.
On the marquee. I want my name on that marquee. It says
It's like
Ripper Owens.
50-cent wing night.
Yeah. No, you should get on to, I don't know if it's Shadow Kingdom or Hell's,
Ripper Owens.
I think Hell's Headbangers.
Oh, that's the best thing I've ever heard on this podcast. Is Ripper Owens live tonight? Also, 50-cent wing night.
Dude, he had his old place. You used to walk in and there'd be like a whole wall of like all the different wing sauces. That like Ripper's Rock House. It was like 100 different fucking
Yeah,
wing sauces.
the hottest wing is just called the Ripper.
Truth be told, he's a super fucking nice guy. He's so down to earth. You'd walk into his bar and he would just walk up to you and be, "Yeah, what's up, man? How you doing?" And it's like, but I was gonna say, Jay, I think it's either Hell's Headbangers has a shit ton. Oh my god.
One of the best album covers ever made.
Ugh. He sang for another band, a local band called Winter's Bane, which is actually pretty fun.
Yeah, they were pretty good.
Yeah,
they were
pretty sweet. He's actually from Kenmore, which is kind of a shithole. Honestly, it's a
Wait, a shithole in Ohio?
yeah, I know, hard to believe. Very hard.
Ohio doesn't have any shitholes.
Beautiful sunny Ohio. But no, Jay, I was gonna tell you, I think Hell's Headbangers has, you might want to check their Haunt stuff. I know they have like 8 million Beastmaker shirts, which that's one band I never like delved into, but I know it's kind of like down that Sabbath, almost like Uncle Acid, Sabbath kind of vein. But they do have like 8 million shirts. I was like scrolling through one day going, what the fuck is this band? Like I thought they were on Hell's Headbangers. It was like 25 different shirts, but and they were all awesome. So
yeah, like when I went to it was like, can't remember what it's called, some small metal fest in Atlanta a couple of years ago. Shadow Kingdom had a booth there, and their booth was, they had all their shit here, and then they had a whole nother booth that was all Haunt shit. I mean, there was tons of it, and I couldn't believe like how many shirts and vinyl, CDs, whatever, patches, and it was, he definitely knows how to do the merch.
yeah. But very cool. No, I mean, I dug it.
Yeah.
Dug it. Definitely a band that I'm going to keep on my radar. And like Pat said, what are you talking about? Shadow Kingdom knows how to do the merch, because that dude's really good at promoting that shit. That's kind of why I was a little worried when they weren't on Shadow Kingdom anymore. I was like, oh man, kind of get that push behind them, but we'll see. So
Pat, what you got?
Pat?
This is the one that hasn't aged well for me, but it's still it's still like something about this record. I mean, it ties into kind of where I was living and all that kind of thing at the time. But I moved to Seattle when I got out of the Army. A couple months later, I moved out to Seattle to go to school. And it was probably the second show I went to in Seattle was two of Kip's favorite bands. It was Damn the Machine and Voivod. But there was a local band opening called the Pleasure Elite, which I saw on the flyer and didn't think anything about them. And then they came on and played. The place went crazy. And I was like, who are these people? And what is this? This is fucking great. Because it kind of reminded me of like a little bit of like working class, Faith No More, a little bit of maybe Nine Inch Nails thrown in, but there was a definite metallic component to it. They had a killer stage show. They had two Dominatrix twins on stage all the time that did stuff. And I went out and bought the album Bad Juju from the Pleasure Elite. And this was the original release from '93, which when I listened to it, I was disappointed because it didn't have the punch of what I heard live. And then the following year, they got signed to Red Light, which was maybe in Ohio. It was a Midwest record label that put out some death metal and whatnot. And they reissued it, remastered it, remixed it, and had a little heavier guitars to it. I hated the album cover then. I still hate it now. But part of it ties into the live show because they were a band that like when they played in Seattle, they could sell out a 500 seat club, no problem. They did all the time. And then when they got on Red Light, they actually hit the road. And one of my friends in college was friends with the girlfriend of someone in the band. And he would walk through campus every once in a while and they'd talk, and he would talk about how brutal it was going on the road because Seattle, Friday, Saturday night, they could pull 500, 800 people, no problem. And then when they played Cleveland, they got 2 people paying at the door, you know, stuff like that. So
Pat, hold that album cover up again. Like I said, it's parental advisory, explicit lyrics, and you have a dog's asshole pissing on a fence. Like, are there explicit lyrics in this?
I'm surprised. I'm shocked. Yeah, so it's one of those, you know, I don't listen too much anymore, and listening to it, you know, kind of getting ready for this, it was one of the first ones that popped in my head. I was like, yeah, you know, not something I go back to a lot, but it's more based on the memory of when it came out. And they were kind of, you know, at the tail end of when whatever you call grunge or whatever was big in Seattle. They were not one of those kind of bands, and they came from a metal background. I know at least one of the times I saw them, the singer was wearing a Possessed Seven Churches shirt. And I know they put out an album later on that was more straightforward, kind of punk and speed metal influenced. It didn't have all the electronic bells and whistles of this. And like the drummer would always be nude when they played. And, you know, they're the only band I've seen as much as Iron Maiden. And I've seen them 9 times between 93 and 96. And it was, you know, I when I listen to it now, I'm like, yeah, not many people would like this. But at the time, you know, when people were always looking for something new, something alternative or whatever, you know, to me, they should have been way bigger at the time. You know, not a long lasting band, but.
So I don't have any Amazon Music or Tidal or any of that shit. So I just tried to YouTube it. I could only find one song, which was, what was this looking at? Twist on This.
Yeah.
That's the only song I can find. So I couldn't actually listen to the whole thing because I don't have any digital music at all. The only thing I could do is YouTube. And that song just reminded me, does anyone know the band Butt Trumpet?
Nope.
No. All right. Just reminded me of that, just like that, like kind of hardcore-ish, kind of punkish with like really sarcastic bullshit lyrics. But so I can't really comment a whole lot about it because that's the only song I heard. But I mean, it's just like super obtuse, good riffs. But like when you write lyrics, they're just about like calling your mom a bitch, calling your mom a whore, or whatever. It's just like, I'm not really sure where this is going.
Yeah, I never even heard of them.
I think the only other person I've ever heard comment on him is Neil Kernan, because he lived in Seattle at that time. And if I've ever mentioned him, he'll be like, oh yeah, the Pleasure Elite, you know, they were like legends of the Seattle scene or whatever, you know, or I don't know if he used the term legends, but you know, because their live show was kind of what they were known for, you know.
Yeah. I was gonna say Faith No More.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it was like kind of to me, kind of a poor man's Fishbone, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Faith No More. I even heard some of, probably just coincidental, but like some early Marilyn Manson. The way, I don't know, that's just what I heard, but it really reminded me of a Cleveland band that was straight, they're Mushroom Head. I never got into Mushroom Head because it was kind of the same thing where it was really all over the place. It was almost like they had too many influences. And when there's like too many cooks in the kitchen, it just like, it ended up, and that album is on Amazon Music. I listened to
It is, yeah, yeah.
and I was like, it's funny when Jason was talking about the dial tone, or where was that? The
busy signal.
Yeah, the busy, yeah, it immediately just turned me off. I just couldn't get into them.
It's the
You know,
metronome. It's the metronome, Jason. That's all
5
it is.
minutes, and I'm like,
I was like, oh God, here, like, what am I getting into? But then the problem I had with it is that every song sounded the same to me. Like I couldn't distinguish songs. It's like with Haunt and with Mental Home, I could, you know, there was like a hook to it. His Ham's Light. Was that light?
It's a Ham's regular.
Hands regular.
That's a full flavor.
But yeah,
that's a land of sky blue waters, you know, Kip.
No, it was just a weird album for me. Like I was surprised that a band like that was as popular as they were in Seattle around that time, because I was expecting something a little more like, you know, Mother Love Bone or Seaweed, or
Either a little dirtier or a little, you know, yeah.
yeah.
Actually, and it was kind of the Pleasure Elite, they recorded their second album. They made a live album because it was cheaper than going into the studio. And I went to that show because I wanted to see the Pleasure Elite, and Zeke was the opener. And that was the first time I ever saw Zeke in '95. And that was the Dizzy Lee Roth years, you know, Super Sound Racing time frame.
Wow. Well, you said
yeah, it's not one of those I'd be like, God, I can't believe they still haven't made it. You know, it's not that. It's like when I listen to it, I think more, I get a fuzzy feeling about thinking about seeing their flyer, like, oh, they're playing at Rock Candy next weekend. And then me and my buddy Dirk are like, we're fucking going. And then the next week it'd be like, they're at the OK Hotel, we're going to go, you know, and then there'd be a line, you know, you'd have to get there early. So you'd make the cutoff before they were at capacity, you know, and I never saw them without a sold out show at probably about 5 different clubs, you know?
Yeah. No, that was a new one on me. I've heard of a lot of stuff, and I was just like, I never heard that. But I'm trying to be nice.
I don't care.
Well, Jason and I got shit on our last album, so it's fine.
Hey, yeah, we all. It's a whole nostalgia thing for you, then, Pat.
Yeah, totally.
That's, you know, there's albums I have that are like that, you know, where it's like you listen to it now and you're just like,
hey, we even talked about it last episode with the new Steve Perry. It's like, yeah, you know, but it's Steve Perry.
exactly.
You know? It's like you hear the voice and you're like, get the goosebumps, and you're like, I'm going all the way through. I don't care if he's talking about his wife that's dying of cancer. You know, I want to, you know, it's like, it's Steve Perry.
Yeah. Well, I will move on to that I had you guys listen to. This one this is a band that should have been about a million times bigger than what they were, but they just, I don't know,
They didn't hit.
never
They
hit
didn't
it. But to me, they're kind of like a German Demolition Hammer almost. Especially this album. Earlier albums are kind of a little rougher, just kind of German thrash, but this really is, to me, this album fits in with Demolition Hammer, Devastation, Sepultura, Beneath and Arise, and that's Protector, The Shedding of Skin. I ended up getting the High Roller Records, which is an unbelievable killer new label, German label that they
High spirits. They got high spirits.
yes. And I know Jason, you're gonna love that. The classic
Yeah.
80s.
Photo montage.
Yeah. The collage. Yep.
Yeah. Going through. What really got me was the one dude had a Funeral Nation shirt on. Funeral Nation is a fucking awesome Chicago death metal band, totally obscure, that I should have chose for this. Awesome album. But this album is just riff heavy. It's relentless. You'll be sweating your ass off when you're done listening to it. High Roller actually redid all their early albums. So also produced by Harris Johns, which I know.
Chip, I don't know who put this out, but on the YouTube link I listened to, when you go like you click the down button, the first paragraph I have to read to you all. Nauseous, gasping for air amidst the foul stench of rotting skin and flesh bound with fabric to the couch you'll never leave alive in your morbid obesity. A slow infected death in plain sight of those closest to you, as close as they can get. Sure, maybe one day you'll try to rip yourself off that sofa at the cost of numerous layers of skin. You're a grotesque and hopeless animal. You know it. That's the description of the album on that.
Did Disciple X write that?
Yeah, this is.
And then it goes into more like, this death thrash metal album evokes that same common disgust about the foul, couch-grafted, rotting obese inflict upon those that still have hope. It's just like, I read that before I listened to this, like, what the fuck is this? But oh my god, the vocals. That's one of my favorite vocal performances from an album I've never heard before. Jesus Christ, that guy was just like, it was obviously like that death metal vocal, but like the way he used his voice was just insane. And then also the fucking bass breakdowns.
Mhm.
I needed to take a shower when I was done listening to that. Jesus Christ. And it was like, it was techie kind of.
Mhm.
What it's called, tech death, but there has some tech elements to it without jerking off. But oh my god, thank you for that one too, Kip. That was fucking amazing. Amazing album.
And Jason,
Disgusting.
I think, Jason, if you go back and get some of the early ones, I think you'll dig Erm the Mad, Leviathan's Desire, Gollum, which are all good. I ended up buying a couple of them on High Roller. So I'm still kind of in the process of getting the rest of them. But song 10 on Gollum is called Space Cake. I don't know what the fuck that means. But I think
Sounds delicious.
you'll totally dig them, Jay. You should check them out.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Probably Hell's Headbangers. I think that's where I got this. Either Hell's Headbangers or Shadow Kingdom. I think they do some High Roller distributing. But what about? I want to hear your thoughts, Jason, because you're the thrash guy. So it's
Yeah. I hadn't heard him, but I think with you know, the albums that I'm listening to now. I enjoyed that album and I am looking for it now. Yeah, killer band. Third album of 7. Like you said, I want to hear the first 2. 7 LPs, 2 EPs. German band, right up my alley. Love Germany. As long as it's in English. So yeah, thank you for that one. There's a lot here, you guys.
Wait, you like the German bands that sing in English, so you get the good translation, like the bad lyrics?
Of course. Come on, you gotta have that.
What is the Sodom off in The Sign of Evil? What does he say? I masturbate to hear myself groan. Something like that.
Been there. Too many times.
Jason, there's the new one that just came out. This is also on High Roller, but came out a couple years ago. I can't remember what year. It's got to be maybe 2019, 2018. But there's only one original guy in the band anymore. That's the vocalist. The High Roller does an awesome job with their stuff. It comes with like a little mini poster.
Yeah, killer songs, man. Just riffs galore.
Yeah, I'd never heard it. I thought it was awesome. You know, I was mistaking him for some other band. Remember, I was asking you, is this some synth band or whatever and I never heard him, you know. So I doubt I'd even heard the name then.
Yeah,
And they're still around?
Yeah, this is the newest. But only one original guy, like I said, is the vocalist. Like a lot of those bands that I think like Iron Angel and a lot of those German bands, like they're still going, but there's maybe one original guy in the band anymore. But this album's pretty good. It's not as good. They had a couple other ones come out before this that are also really good. I actually think they're better than this one. This is a fun album, but it's nothing, you know, it's cool to have if you're a Protector fan, if you guys start getting into them. But all those early ones from the Heritage back, the Heritage is the album after this, but from the Heritage back is kind of like their classic era. So at least as far as I'm concerned. So
Fucking great shit.
Yeah,
That's not my wheelhouse at all, but I enjoy the shit out of that.
very cool. Well, I think
this was a great episode. Yeah. I mean, Protector, Roach Powder. I've got Mental Home. I've got Winterhawk.
The Pleasure Elite.
Guys.
I'm going to throw in, geez, I just dropped them all. I'm going to throw in some real quick honorable mentions that I think everyone should hear.
I've got 4 here.
So I'm going, I think I have 4 as well. I'm going Meat Hook Seed, which is Donald Tardy, Trevor Perez from Obituary, Mitch Harris from Napalm Death. This is industrial. Just nasty ass, heavy. It's very Celtic Frost, very Obituary, which is pretty much Celtic Frost. I know Rocky back there thinks it's 4x4 death metal.
4x4.
They're hillbillies, but I honestly don't care. When this came out, this is on Earache. Just a vicious, disgusting album. Awesome. Just kind of fits in with a lot of that. It's way heavier than Ministry. Kind of cool packaging too, because it's like,
does Exorcist know about them?
He might, but yeah, it's like the book is almost see-through purposely. But this is some great stuff. At that, I got to hear another High Roller release.
Oh yeah,
I got the Hell's Headbangers release,
because one of them is a bootleg, isn't it?
So Hell's Headbangers put this out.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's recorded in mono or something. You put it in and I was like, dude, what the fuck's wrong with the sound on it? It's cool packaging, really cool packaging. But then when High Roller decided to put it out, I was like, well, let me get it. And the sound is way better, much better. But this is, a lot of people think it's new wave of British heavy metal, but they're not. They're from Denmark. And this was recorded, if I remember right, in the same studio that Merciful Fate recorded their early albums in.
So New Autumn.
Yeah. So,
New album.
but this
Well,
is, this album's early 80s. That's great stuff. I'm gonna save probably the best one for last. Let's see how good Patrick is. Let's see if he's heard of this.
Oh, stop. It's God, they toured with Testament in the early 90s. Nude Swirl.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's,
wow.
they also did a big tour with White Zombie, Megaforce Records. This album's just fuzzed out, loud. It's not a metal album. It fits in more with like the Seattle scene. It's almost,
Kind of like Mindfunk.
yeah,
Like the second Mindfunk dropped.
yeah. And it's got, I got into it back in the day because, again, I'm a huge Monster Magnet fan. And then I saw this on MTV late one night and I was just like, dude, like the loud guitars, really cool vocals. I think it's just guitar heavy, alternative metal, whatever. Save the best for last. This is the absolute best US doom album ever fucking created. Don't even argue with me. Blood Farmers, self-titled, absolutely disgusting. One of the greatest things I've ever heard. This is on Leaf Hound Records, which is a Japanese label, originally on Hellhound, but this band, actually the drummer you mentioned, who mentioned Toxic earlier? Somebody mentioned the drummer for Toxic, Tad, is the drummer in Blood Farmers now.
That's quite a jump.
But taken from the movie Invasion of the Blood Farmers, which is, I love it, but it's cheesy as hell. This is just, everyone I have listened to this, if they like Doom, I'll even go as far to say this is probably top 2 favorite Doom metal albums ever, hands down. And they don't get a lot of recognition, you know, just because their stuff's been out of print. I think this I got online and it was like really probably like 20-25 bucks, and now it's ridiculous. I wish somebody would grab their stuff and put it out. So they did this, Leaf Hound did this, and then Permanent Brain Damage, which is like an early demo. And then the one with Tad on drums is called Headless Eyes, and that one's also killer, but good, really good doom metal. So those are my honorable mentions.
I got 4. One is this band, I don't even know how to pronounce it, Fjorgen, I don't know. German symphonic black metal, but avant-garde, kind of think of like Mitter, Arcturus. I think at one point, one of the last songs, they bring in Beethoven's Symphony in there, or Ninth Symphony in there. If you just want to listen to great sort of industrial symphonic black metal, it's obviously just 2 guys and a drum machine. Highly recommended.
Very cool.
Second one, total 1996 Norwegian black metal, like that same era when the Norwegian black metal scene was blowing up. And if you're into the scene, you know it, but not enough people know about this, which is
Yeah.
I
got it.
It's fucking incredible. Oh, they only released 1 album, And it just fits in right in that 96 Norwegian black metal era that no one talks about. There's all those other albums everyone just goes on and on about. And no one knows about this shit. You have to hear that. Third out of four is Finnish it's sort of power metal, but melodies galore, awesome keyboard work, guitar work, Finnish. Speaking of bad, awful band names, not Presto Ballet, but Twilight Lightning.
Twilight. I might have a Twilight.
You probably own one, Jason.
This is their first album. They sucked after, then they turned into like a rock band, and I gave up on them. But this fucking album has so many sweet licks in it, beautiful melodies, shredding keyboard, shredding fucking, but not like wanking. Just if you just want like true rock / power metal, White Lightning, Delirium Veil. And then the fourth one is a black metal band with a female fronted singer doing the harsh vocals from Kyrgyzstan. There's a band called Darkestra, and it's about the Great Silk Road. If you want like atmospheric, like all the songs are 10 minutes long, very repetitive, great hooks. And those hooks are worm ears and stick in your brain for a while. Darkestra, Great Silk Road.
Very cool. You guys got some?
Yeah. I guess I'll go next.
Pat's already up.
No, Pat's got it.
I grabbed the wrong stack. This is the Lich King debut I got from Shadow Kingdom when they put out their first album, and he was trying to snatch up anything that had an old school thrash feel. So I bought it, and it sucked.
Fuck Lich King.
Do you remember that dude getting on the board?
Oh yeah, it's in the Hall of Fame there.
Is it? Yeah,
it's
so
The
good.
guy from Lich King saying like, don't talk shit about my band. Like, oh yeah, we're talking shit about your band, dude.
The pizza thrash.
I'll give you. Okay, I got these two. They're both kind of like, if you like early 2000 Opeth, it's the Green Evening Requiem, their demo or EP, whatever you want to call it. And then also this guy is on the Brave board, but used to be Gwynblide, but he was under the name Safarog, I think was his name. I actually met him at Judas Priest in Atlanta once. He flew down or was there for work or something, but it's 4 songs about, I want to say it's about 35 minutes long. So they're like those 10-minute Opeth songs, but I was never a huge Opeth fan, but this album is well worth checking out.
Cool.
One man, kind of black metal, but he's also has to use a drum machine, so that kind of brings it down. Great artwork, good ideas, got some good melody, but just a little shy with it being the drum machine. Bowden. Last one, real quick. This is more of the primal death metal, Feral Horde. They're actually a Toronto band too. I don't know if they had anything out after this, but if you want just something raw, but a live band and not, a solo type thing, Progressive Downfall.
Cool.
Rocky Dennis likes for that.
Feral Horde.
Yeah. But Svarnog is in that.
Was he, or was he in a later incarnation of it?
I think he was originally in it.
Yeah, because one of the singer was on the board too, but he got banned early on.
Jason probably banned him.
Yeah, Ivan. No, this is way pre. Yeah, this was Ivan Tradinia. Yeah.
I was gonna say, if it was Ivan Boesky, then I definitely banned him.
But I actually bought this from a guy in Indian Trail, North Carolina. He had a Graveless Slumber, I think, was the distro, and he did all this like black metal type stuff. And it was the only place I could get it because I think they only made like 500 of them or something. And checked it out, and well worth it.
What do you got?
Well, what do I have? I've got, I'll start with my prog power bands. They're huge in Europe. Nobody knows them here. They'll play to 50, 75,000 people in Europe. They'll come here to the States. Actually, one of the bands has never toured the States. The first band has toured the States, and I'm all about this band. I love this band. I saw them in LA at a club in September 2018. I think I was one of 18 people there. They're labeled, they started as a stoner metal band, but I think they're just kind of straightforward. And at times the vocalist, anyway, to me anyway, probably not to you guys, but there's bits and parts where he kind of sounds like an angry Ian Astbury from The Cult.
Yeah, he does.
So yeah. And there are times where I kind of described for people that don't know the band, that's how I describe them. I describe them as The Cult on steroids, and that would be Mustache. They're just a Swedish metal band, and I know they're big, you know, in their home country, but nobody knows about them here. I think they just put out like a new EP. The other Swedish prog power band that I discovered is, you really can't label them. They're kind of like a Primus band. You think they're funk, you think they're metal, you think they're avant-garde, you think they're traditional, you think they're prog. I maybe Patrick can genre define them, but
They're very much like the Pleasure Elite.
Primus.
So many things slammed into one.
You can barely see the let's try that. You can, that's even worse. It's Free Kitchen. The name of the album is Organic. Killer guitar player. If you want strange sounds coming out of your guitar, yeah, that one too. He'll play that too. So
What
there's that
is
one.
there somebody in that band that's in another band, or am I thinking I'm gonna have to look him up here?
Yep, I'm pretty sure someone in that band was in another band.
Yes,
Absolutely.
like the most
Probably.
vague. Was somebody in that band in another band? I'll have to look. I thought for some reason I thought that there was somebody in that band that was in like a more of a popular band, but I don't know. I remember hearing one of the albums and I fucking loved it. I thought it was really cool. I can't remember if it's that one or another one. I thought it was really cool.
This is a Hong Kong guitar player, instrumental guy. I saw this on the Brave board. It might have been Solomon Grundy. I don't know if it's on Tidal or not. Okay. But the name of this guitar player is Jason Kui, and his new album's called Naka or Naka, and very tasteful instrumental blue hair guitar playing if you want that in your life. And then this next one are 3 kids out of India. They are a complete Sodom doppelganger. When I heard this on YouTube, you could swear it's a new Sodom release, but it's not. And the name of the band is Amorphia, and the name of the album is Merciless Strike. And with that kind of album cover, Nick will label this as 88th tier thrash metal. But
No. I'll label that 75th. It's fine.
75th. Yeah. So if you need more Sodom thrash metal in your
I
life,
guarantee you Required Fields has that as a back tattoo.
he does. He loves Amorphia too. Definitely.
Do they masturbate to hear themselves groan? I've never heard that either. So
and the last guy is a guy that I love. He's more known for his Christmas music, but
Michael Bublé.
what's that?
Michael Bublé.
Michael Bublé, yes. And if Michael Bublé got Rich Spellberg to produce the album, he might end up sounding like Gary Hoey, his first album here, Animal Instinct. I think it's his first album. I'm not sure. Might be his first or his second now, so I might be corrected there. So yeah, I love Gary Hoey. He'll play down here at the Coach House in San Juan Capistrano. He's more known for his Ho Ho Hoey albums. If you like your hard rock, metal, Christmas music, without the vocals, of course. So yeah, those are those would be my picks.
Very cool.
So I gotta wave the blue hair flag proudly, Nick.
Fucking blue hairs.
That's us.
Look at this. 2 hours.
Not bad.
Getting better.
We got 75 more albums we can talk about if you want. We can make it like an 8-hour marathon.
We could. Would you like to do our top 20 next time?
Jason, I almost mentioned this one and I thought you would like it, Jason, but you ever heard Guilt Machine?
Guilt Machine, no. I've heard Damn the Machine. We were talking about that in a previous episode.
They've only got one album and it's the Lucasen guy that does all the Arion and the but it's one album, but the singer he's got sounds to me almost like Freddie Mercury, and it's a killer album. So I think it's called On This Perfect Day. You gotta check it out. Guilt Machine.
I'll write it down.
Very cool.
Guilt Machine, huh?
Well, as always, it was awesome being able to listen to the new stuff that, you know, I wouldn't have heard otherwise. I never even would have thought about listening to it.
Nick, how do you pronounce that one? The German one, the folk band.
I pronounce it Odro Rear.
Odro Rear.
Okay,
Reggie.
Odro Rear. Like row as in like rowing in the pit.
Yeah,
Odro Rear. An ode to rowing in my rear.
Yeah, there's so many albums. Like when I was going through and I was like, man, I should choose this, man, I should choose that, and it just got completely ridiculous.
Yeah, I almost chose Master Puppets for this.
or Power Slave.
Or Lich King. Lots of options.
I can't believe you had that.
I was disappointed when I got it.
To say the least. That was part of that whole like new wave of thrash metal.
Yeah, 2007.
I remember that stuff was coming out, dude. It was like
The Watham.
it was just
Awesome.
every other day it was like some new band coming out, and I don't think any of those bands stuck around except for like maybe Havoc. I think they're still putting albums out.
Municipal Waste.
Oh,
Yeah. Out of those group, the one I really like out of the new wave is Suicidal Angels. That's the band I really like.
so
I think they're the ones that stand out.
I can't do Municipal Waste.
But I'm sure if somebody would
Go ahead.
listen to Suicidal Angels and they would say, "Oh, it just sounds like Sepultura meets Slayer." I've already heard it. But for me, it's a niche for me. I really dig Suicidal Angels.
They're European, aren't they?
I'm sorry.
Look at those goddamn clean fucking. Look at those shirts iron right there.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Rocket Dennis has a lot more to do.
No, I can't.
Press shit.
I can't do Municipal Waste, man. I cannot do it. If I want DRI, I'll listen to DRI.
Well, and that's an album, that's a band where they sound the same.
Mm-hmm.
Like to me, the album, I put another one on, sounds like it. But I'm saying they've stuck around because I think they still are,
Yeah, they're popular, and I mean, I saw them live. They opened for Anthrax, Nick. Anthrax headlined.
Anthrax has never headlined. We've been over this, dude.
Well, they co-headlined with Exodus. So.
Co-headlined, of course. Yeah.
almost almost made it, but they were fucking great live. They sounded perfect, but the whole time I was just thinking, man, just give me Four of a Kind or Thrash Zone or Crossover. That's all, I don't.
Crossover's a classic.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Big DRI. But yeah, no, this is a great idea. I know you guys keep coming up with good ideas for episodes. I think, what was the next one? Who had that idea? Nick?
Top 3 or 5 in the last 5 years.
Yeah, just like 2016 after, like top 5 of the last 5 years. Doesn't have to be like 2017 is my favorite, 2018 my favorite, but just top 5 of the last 5 years.
Cool. Yeah, no, I'm stoked for that. It's going to be a little harder for me, but that's what makes it even more interesting.
Yeah, but that's what she said.
But this was another
Yes.
fun as hell time, and looking forward to doing a lot more. So stay tuned for that. I'll get this.
Right.
I'll get this up here in a few days. Yes, I know there's going to be an Indian some Nick has to say about that, but but yeah, it was a great time. It was great seeing Rocky do all your laundry in the background.
Yes,
Phenomenal.
Thank you.
My laundry was done. He was just ironing. But kill the recording and he'll come and say hi.
All right, you got it. But yeah, stay tuned. I'll get this up here in a few days, and thanks for tuning in. So,
All right.
Yeah. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Kip.
thank you.
Great guys. Thank you, Rock.
Cheers.